Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and today I'm taking you to the Master League Premier Cup. This is a Master League format where legendaries, mythicals, and ultra beasts have been banned, with powerful new updated Pokemon like Shadow Claw Metagross and Chilling Water Floor just taking the meta by storm. I figured it was time to fight back in an anti-meta way. So today, I'm bringing my Shundo level 50 Kingambit to the Master League Premier Cup. Kingambit, being a dark steel type, is a very interesting core breaker to both Florges and to Metagross. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's go Kingambit. Hopping into the first match, picking up a very nice lead, leading Gyarados into Metagross. Opponent is going to save switch into their Gyarados. I switch in my Snorlax, and unfortunately, I have already made a mistake. What I should have done before sending in the Snorlax was checking the combat power of the Gyarados. I'm intentionally running Best Buddy Snorlax because Best Buddy Snorlax does extra damage per lick to Gyarados, but that's only the case if it's the non-Best Buddy Gyarados, and unfortunately this trainer does have the Best Buddy boost equipped. Overfarming a ton of energy actually has my opponent respecting a Skull Bash, which ends up working out quite nicely for me, as I'm very happy to get a shield advantage out of this mid game. Realistically, getting a shield advantage is better than getting switch advantage because Metagross is absolutely broken and its energy goes absolutely everywhere. This team aims to bring 3 Metagross counters to the battle, and hopefully, if your opponent has a Metagross, you're going to be in an advantageous position. Gyarados is going to connect with a crunch onto my Gyarados, and I will get the farm down. What do they have in the back? It's Florges, and oh my goodness, Kingambit is about to go off. I throw the Aqua Tail just to get a little bit of chip damage. In comes Kingambit, and now my opponent is in quite a lot of trouble. Florges goes for the Chilling Water instantly. Kingambit does not mind that whatsoever, and now out comes Metagross. Keep in mind, my attack has just been lowered by a Chilling Water, so I'm at -1, and even still, Foul Play is going to do quite a lot of damage to the Metagross. Metagross basically always bait, but Kingambit, since I have so much energy, it's never worth calling it on the 1% chance they actually full send the Earthquake. Foul Play is going to land. Due to that debuff, they're barely able to hang on and force the final shield, but I still have so much loaded energy on Kingambit. Kingambit going to opt for a Foul Play bait. My opponent knows they're going to have to shield everything. They're hoping to get to the Moonblast, but I get to the Iron Head. This is a debuffed Iron Head, but it still almost picks up the knockout. Kingambit absolutely devastating, even at -1 attack in this endgame. They're able to finally take the knockout, but it's too little too late as Gyarados is able to take the win. Hopping into the next match, leading Gyarados into Excadrill, an incredibly good lead. Excadrill will immediately save switch out and send in Florges. And Florges, oh, this is where Kingambit wants to be. Kingambit is going to absolutely feast. Chilling Water will apply a debuff, but even debuffed, we know Iron Head is going to do a significant amount of damage. Iron Head lands big damage onto the Florges. Florges just going to go for another Chilling Water, and Kingambit is very okay with that. The one thing that I will probably want to do is look to pivot out of this matchup, because when the Excadrill comes back in, I don't want to surrender a bunch of farm. So I'm going to pivot into the Gyarados. They're going to switch out, and in the back, oh, what a cool pick. They have Avalugg. Avalugg probably running Ice Fang and Icy Wind. As with Icy Wind, Avalugg does a really nice job of kind of slowing down the damage that opponents can do. I throw Aqua Tail first and then go for the Crunch. I was fishing for the debuff, but I forgot in the moment that the Crunch debuff chance is lower. I think it's down to 20% instead of the 30% that it was the last time Master Premier was out. And now, to win the game, it's pretty straightforward. I just bank a bunch of energy on Gyarados, switch into the Snorlax to reset the debuff on that energy. My opponent debuffs me, and now they're forced to bring Excadrill into Snorlax. But even with Snorlax being debuffed, it's still a superpower, and this is going to do some pretty significant damage. My opponent is just running out of options. They only have 1 Protect Shield left to hide behind. They're going to no shield. I will now get to a Body Slam. This is a double debuffed Body Slam into the Excadrill. Exca is going to no shield. There's the switch into the Gyarados, and Gyarados' energy is locked and loaded. Aqua Tail takes the knockout. In comes Avalugg, and I will get to a last second charge attack, but I have 2 shields and a Kingambit. I'm going to be able to make it to an Iron Head. In comes Kingambit. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Hopping into the next match, leading Gyarados into Hydreigon, a very bad lead for Gyarados. Hydreigon is an incredibly cool pick. This is a Pokemon that I do want to try for this cup. I do have a level 50 Hydreigon. The reason why Hydreigon is so interesting is due to its typing, it walls off Gyarados' energy. Add to that the fact that it's going to do great into some Pokemon like Magnezone, which people are running to try and break Gyarados plus Metagross cores, and I think Hydreigon has a ton of play. I will catch a Brutal Swing onto my Snorlax. I'm farming up, but I accidentally overfarm one too much, and I CMP tie to a Dragon Pulse. Dragon Pulse lands, that's big damage onto the Snorlax, and this Hydreigon has me in absolute shambles. There's going to be the switch out into Excadrill. Excadrill unable to get the farm down before the superpower is available. Baiting out the Excadrill is extremely important, as now I'm able to pivot back out into the Gyarados and threaten a knockout with the Aqua Tail. But my opponent says not so fast. They're shielding up that Excadrill, and I don't want to take Mud Slaps on Kingambit, so I will end up shielding right back. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get the farm down. The Exca is just slightly too healthy, but Aqua Tail will be able to knock out the Exca. In the back, that's exactly what I wanted to see. It's Metagross, and if there's one thing this team does, it's hunt down Metagross. Crunch does get the debuff, but I won't need it to win this game. The only thing I have to avoid is my opponent going for a catch. Foul Play is going to be shielded. My opponent has enough for the Earthquake, so I will put up the shield on Kingambit. They bait, and that means I'm going to outpace by one. I wait the turn, I throw, but my visuals didn't update, and they get the catch. And suddenly, I think I've lost. What a catch from my opponent. Back in comes the Metagross. No shields remaining for Kingambit, but look at this. Kingambit tanks the Earthquake, and on 1 HP, we make it to the Foul Play. Kingambit winning the game when I made the losing play, letting my opponent catch. What a win. We pick up a terrible lead in the next match, Gyarados into Dragonite. Dragonite is actually an incredibly bad Pokemon for this team to see, as Dragonite can hit for double super effective damage into 2/3 of my team and super effective damage into the Snorlax. My opponent will fire off back-to-back superpowers. Snorlax is very bulky. I'd rather take the energy here than anywhere else. Out comes Metagross, and this is actually quite unfortunate, as Metagross is going to get a pretty healthy farm down to the Snorlax due to the fact that Shadow Claw is double resisted. Back in comes the Gyarados. I just want to, at all times, have quite a lot of Gyarados energy because I'm going to need this energy if I want to get through this Dragonite, as Dragonite is a really big problem. Gyarados Crunch is going to land, and I'm able to get the farm down of that Metagross. Back in comes Dragonite. Crunch, they can survive, but this will be very valuable chip damage. Crunch is going to land, gets the debuff in the back. It's Excadrill, and unfortunately, this is just a hard counter game. Not really much I can do there, where I didn't protect the Snorlax, because if I shield the Snorlax, then the Dragonite just sweeps me, and there's a Thunder Punch user on my Gyarados, and there's now a Mud Slapper on my Kingambit. My opponent did end up shielding the first move on their Excadrill. Foul Play is going to connect, and I actually make another Foul Play. Wait. Is there a way that I can find a way to win this game? I switch into the Gyarados. They throw a Rock Slide. Can I outpace the Dragonite? They're going to be sending back in the Dragonite. I outpace the Dragonite, and I might be healthy enough that if this knocks out, I can survive the Mud Slaps and make the move. But Dragonite hangs on 1 HP. I had the 1 HP win last game, and unfortunately, this game is going to be a 1 HP defeat, as my Gyarados cannot hang on, and my opponent will take the win. Next battle against the Spice Lord Zweilous, and he's running his Kingambit as well. Zweilous actually had a great run at the World Championships, running a great league Kingambit, so it's awesome to see him running Kingambit in the Master Premier Cup as well. Kingambit actually has a very close zero shield loss, and the reason being is that Gyarados resists Metal Sound. Kingambit will get to 2 Foul Plays, but Foul Play barely misses the knockout. So for me, I will be able to control Switch Advantage, and having Switch Advantage can be quite nice. I'm really hoping that with Switch Advantage, Kingambit will be able to find one of its targets in the back. So I make my third Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail will be able to take the knockout, and then when they bring in Gyarados, I pivot into the Snorlax after checking the combat power, and you're going to notice Gyarados' health will go down a lot faster in this Gyarados-Snorlax matchup compared to the other ones, and that is because of that Lick breakpoint. If the Gyarados is not best buddied and your Snorlax is 15 attack and best buddied, you can get it. So that makes this matchup way better for the Snorlax. Body Slam is going to land. The lick damage, again, is just so threatening. In the back is Ursaluna. That's not what I was hoping to see. Ursaluna has high horsepower. Granted, it takes a very long time to get to high horsepower because tackle is not the greatest. But high horsepower would be game over for Kingambit. Kingambit is going to put up the shield. No, that's not a high horsepower, but it is a Fire Punch. I farm up a massive amount of energy on Kingambit, going for the foul play. My opponent does put up the final shield. I did build up enough to bluff a potential Focus Blast. I know shield, hoping it's just a Fire Punch, and it is. I'm now at the back-to-back foul plays, but Ursaluna has monster stats. I don't think it's going to be enough to take the knockout. I continue to farm up. I'm going for another foul play. Maybe I should have clicked Iron Head because Iron Head does do more damage. Foul play lands. Ursaluna hangs on. And now I don't think I can afford to shield the Gambit. I'm going to let it go and then bring in Snorlax. They bring in Gyarados. Gyarados did have some stored energy from earlier. Snorlax puts up the shield. Snorlax, it's a race to the move, but I can't throw it just yet. I have to overfarm in case the Ursaluna gets a move. But then I realize I don't have to do that. I still have a Gyarados. In the moment, I forgot that I had saved some HP on my Gyarados, so I was overfarming with the Snorlax. I was really worried about having to try and outpace that Ursaluna to a Fire Punch, but then I realized I could just switch in the Gyarados, and Gyarados will be able to take the win, and it made that endgame a lot easier. Unfortunately, nothing's easy about leading Gyarados Kingambit core into a Magnezone. Magnezone is so bad for this team. I save switch the Snorlax, they rock me with a Wild Charge, and now out comes Gyarados. Gyarados, unfortunately, even though I am doing quite a lot of lick damage, I've taken so much damage on the Snorlax that I'm not really going to be able to do anything meaningful in this matchup. At least, I don't think so. The Body Slam is going to land. Come on, Snorlax. No, we faint right as we get the Body Slam. That is devastating. If I could have got a shield advantage, then maybe I think I could have had a chance in this game. But without a shield advantage, I really don't see a path forward. And now my opponent gets the damage registration error. The Dragon Breath should have KO'd, but it doesn't. And that lets them get another move. That's bad news for me, as these Volt Switches are double super effective. I throw the Aqua Tail, my opponent wisely does not shield. I'm now going to switch into Kingambit, and unfortunately, I'm probably just losing this game. I'm so far behind on energy, they go for the Wild Charge. Unfortunately, Metal Sound is double resisted here, so even though they're at -2 defense, it's not really making a difference in the fast move damage that I'm doing. I continue to farm with Kingambit, putting up the final shield, as they're probably going to go for another Wild Charge. No, they go for a Mirror Shot bait, and they do actually get the Mirror Shot debuff. That is a little bit unfortunate. Can I potentially snipe them though? I switch in Gyarados, go for the Aqua Tail, but they catch. Oh no, they catch onto the Metagross, and that's going to seal my fate. If I was somehow able to snipe down the Magnezone, maybe there would have been a chance, but Magnezone has a move banked, so I'm going to save everyone time and resign the match. Bad news for me in the next match, there's another Magnezone lead. Oh no. When I was building this team, I was saying to myself, the one thing that could really mess up this team is a Magnezone. Last time I no-shielded the Wild Charge, and it went terribly for me. So this time, I shield it. And honestly, that feels a lot better of a play pattern, because now out comes Gyarados, but I have a fully healthy Snorlax. Now, the question is, how will I ever get rid of that Magnezone? Well, I'm going to have to figure that out later, but for now, Snorlax is going to do great into the Gyarados, as I'm able to make it to another Body Slam into this Gyarados, and Gyarados, unless they want to lose all their energy because they haven't thrown it yet, is forced to give the shield back. So suddenly, this scenario feels a lot better than when I no-shielded. They go for the crunch, fishing for the debuff, but they do not get it. Another move from the Gyarados, it's another crunch and another no-shield, and there's a switch into Kingambit. In the back is Metagross, and maybe there is a chance. Kingambit up energy could be a big problem for the Metagross. Metagross does not like to see Kingambit in neutral shielding scenarios, and as we learned before, even if they're able to land an Earthquake, Earthquake does not one-shot, it does about 70%. I farm up so much energy with the Kingambit, and now I'm making my opponent make a difficult decision. Where do they use the shield? They decide to shield here. In comes the Magnezone, and Magnezone now has enough for a second Wild Charge. Will they throw red away? I say yes. I switch in the Gyarados. They switch in their Gyarados. They make a move, but now they're in a lose-lose situation. If they throw a move with the Magnezone, they're going to get farmed down by the Snorlax. They realize there's just not really a way out, and they will concede the match. Hopping into the final match, going up against fellow caster Caleb Peng, and it's basically the best possible lead that I could ever hope to see. Gyarados into Skeledirge. Now, Skeledirge, unfortunately, is going to get absolutely rocked in this matchup. I really debated catching the Shadow Ball onto the Snorlax, but decided against it because if I lose switch advantage, and I would by catching, then potentially the Skeleturge could end up aligned onto Kingambit endgame, which is very bad considering my fast move is Metal Sound. He safe switches Florges, I respond with Kingambit. Kingambit immediately debuffs with the Chilling Water, and I'll return fire with the Iron Head. Iron Head does pick up the shield. That works out pretty nicely for me, as even if this is a Moonblast, I know that I can hang on here. Moonblast is going to land, I'm going to get a second Iron Head, and that's a nice catch from him onto the Skeleturge. What I should do is just switch into the Snorlax and farm it down, but I make a misplay. I throw one Metal Sound and switch, and that actually allows the Skeleturge to hang on. This is not damage registration error. It's just a 1 HP survive. So a definite misplay by me. The good news is it's a Metagross in the back. And a Metagross in the back means that I'm going to win this game. Because the entire team beats Metagross. So Metagross doesn't really have anywhere it can go. Metagross is able to land that Meteor Mash, but they don't really have a way of farming me down. So they're forced to switch out into the Florges. And now I send in the Gyarados. I have such low HP on every single Pokemon that I know he's only ever throwing one move here. He has enough for the Moonblast, but he's always throwing the Chilling Water. And Chilling Water just does absolutely nothing to Gyarados. So much so that I actually think I might get to a second Aqua Tail here. It's going to be very close. Can Gyarados hang on? It's a 1 HP survive. We hang on, get the Aqua Tail. That's going to connect, and that is going to seal it. In comes Kingambit. In comes the Metagross, and I immediately respond with the Snorlax. Shadow Claw is what makes Metagross so broken in this meta, but unfortunately Snorlax is using Shadow Claw against Metagross in this matchup, as Metagross does not have the fast move pressure. Superpower lands, taking the knockout, and in comes Florges, and it will resign the match. All in all, I had a ton of fun with this team. This team is definitely more thinking outside the box, more anti-meta compared to like a top meta team that has Metagross, Gyarados, and Florges on it, like I posted yesterday. Or maybe tomorrow. I'm not quite sure the order of the videos that I'm posting here. But either way, this team was a ton of fun. I ended up going quite positive with this team. It definitely did take some getting used to. The Magnezone leads are very, very difficult. I believe I saw 5 Magnezone leads in a row at one point, and I won 2 of the 5. So for a Pokemon that basically beats the whole team, I'll definitely take a 40% win rate across the board in those 5 matches. And then the rest of the matches, when there wasn't a Magnezone, this team was racking up the win. One word of advice is, even though all 3 members of this team do beat Metagross, Metagross in the 1-0 shield, if it has a shield advantage, has no losses in the Master League Premier Cup. So it's very, very important to keep in mind that even if you have 3 Metagross counters, if you end up misplaying and Metagross is able to get an advantage, Metagross is that broken that it can still strike back and sometimes deliver victory. All in all, I think Kingambit is really fun anti-meta. Is it the strongest Pokemon that you could use in the Master Premier Cup? No. But I think it's a very worthy Pokemon, and it can be a Pokemon, especially if people are really relying on Metagross and Florges, that could deliver wins. If the meta shifts to a more Magnezone-centric meta, then the Kingambit would be a lot less threatening. But as long as people are running that Florges Metagross core, then Kingambit will have anti-meta play. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.